Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the cabin. I thought we would take a walk down here and check out and see what they've been able to do to Jennifer's place since the last time I was able to give you an update. They have worked quite a bit in the last 2 days, so you'll get to see what all was accomplished after Stephen and I got it all staked out for them to start digging and getting this foundation ready to be poured. This is actually the corner of her porch, which goes over to, that will be the foundation of the front of the house. Then that goes on, this is actually the edge of the house, and then that's the beginning of her garage over on this side right over here. Here's another view of the front of the house foundation and then the edge of the porch, because she wants her porch to be poured with concrete. So they have to build this up so that they can pack some rock in there, because some of this was actually fill dirt. So this will give them a nice stable place to pour their concrete. This view here is just kind of looking at their garage. This will be the front of the garage. Set back in 14 feet total from the corner of the porch back to the front of the garage. So this gives them a nice area to pull into, and kept the garage back away from the edge of that road right there so that they can still get up into the hollow with not any trouble at all. These are the holes or the supports for this is the center column right here, so that will support floor joists on both sides, and then they've got rebar already tied ready to go in there whenever they get ready to pour this. Now this right here is coming down the front of where the porch is going to be. And since they had to go so deep here, because like I said, some of this was fill, so they're going to pour concrete up in steps and step the block up. That way you don't have a lot of loss of just pouring this full of concrete. And then we have the very back of the house being right here. Now you could pour those footers full of concrete because they do have grade stakes in there as well. That right there is a grade stake. But that would just be a waste, because blocks are just as good to build a foundation for a house, and there's no reason to pour all of that full of concrete. So the step-off method is a alternative when you're doing construction. And then I know it's late in the evening, but this is an overall view of where the house is in relationship to all the excavation that was done here. So yeah, that's going to be a pretty good size house. Wanted to take you guys down there and try to keep you updated and informed on what's going on with her place down there. And like I've said before, it may get a little noisy up here on the hill with some of the videos that we're doing, but that way you guys know what's going on and kind of where they stand in the process. So I'll meet you back up here on the hill. I tell you what, friends, if you watched that video, when I got the idea to put this pin in here, originally I didn't want to drill anywhere around in this post in case that I might weaken it somehow around this 1-inch bolt, since I was only able to come down 2 3/4 inches because of this thickness of this to be able to try to clear this once I got everything on. So I was a little leery, but I went ahead and did it. I thought, well, if I drill a 3/8 hole, I think that might hold it, because I'm going through both of the 2x6s on each side of the post and not just on one side with like a 2x4 brace. So since I stumbled on that idea, I thought, you know, I'm going to go ahead and try that and see if it works. And I'll tell you what, I was going to leave these big bolts right here sort of loose. That way, you know, I can pivot my array and then use this down here or another means of fastening this to be able to brace it. But when I got this idea and I tightened this down, I said, you know what? What's going to happen when I tighten this down? So I did that, and I tell you what, folks, you can't move, the whole thing moves if I move anything. So I believe that this was probably the simplest and the most cost-effective way that I could have done that. And I think that that's going to work. I don't think I'm going to need any other. I believe that the panels will fly off before this was to move or to give any. So as far as this standing up in a windstorm, I think it would, because if all the panels left, there'd just be a bunch of ribs here left, right? So anyway, yeah, So I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that after I tightened all of this down. Lord, I'll tell you what, it is snug. It's in there, okay? So anyway, that's the update on the solar array. Actually, I do have to put the ground rods in here still, and then once we get the panels on here, we'll have to bond all of them together. But as far as the array and all of the framing goes, it is finished, happy to say. Well, I guess one of the other things that's on the agenda is to go ahead and start getting this finished framed up here, but I had to put a log on the sawmill to mill it up for some more framing and for some siding for this building. Now I am going to use that siding that I actually cut for the workshop last year that got molded. I did kill it with bleach, so I used it on the floor right here, and in order to keep from going up real high, instead of putting my subfloor on top of this, what I decided to do was go ahead and I'm going to put plywood on the inside of the little room right here, and then I'll probably go ahead and run some boards in this direction coming off for the front porch as far as the flooring there. So that leaves my stud work at least down another inch from being taller. Anyway, but yeah, we got to get this framed out. Now this wall right here is going to be taller because that's going to be kind of like a shed roof, and then we'll have a porch front roof that's coming off in this direction. So that will be inset 3 feet. Where is my corner? Right there it is. There's the corner of the room and the corner of the porch right here. So I've got some trees that we cut down there at Jennifer's that is probably about this big around. I think what I'm going to do is take those. It's a nice pine, a little crooked. Take and shave the bark off of that and use them for the front posts right here. I don't know how many I'm going to put. I might put 4 in here. I might put just 2. But anyway, we're going to kind of make this look like an old storefront building. So I think it's going to turn out pretty cool with a homemade sign that says Juice Shack. Now I would like to at some point maybe engrave on a piece of wood maybe Om Sweet Om. I kind of like that phrase right there. Be nice to have a little plaque maybe just hanging in the breeze or something, or maybe up over the door or something like that. But yeah, the Juice Shack. That was sent in by a subscriber, and I thought that was so cute, and it stuck. So this is going to be the Outposts or the Homestead's new Juice Shack, and it's going to be so cute it will remind you of Om Sweet Om. You know, the idea for our little outhouse came from me just looking at pictures of just like fairy tale houses that I could find on the internet, and I found I think there was like 3 different ones, and they all had different features. And so what I tried to do was to incorporate that into this little building right here. I am going to have to get out here and do some work on this bridge because that was just poplar and it was untreated, and I've left it over the years. So I've got one board broken. I'm going to have to replace that as soon as I can get this power up and running and get the siding on the workshop down there, because what I've been doing is just stepping over that. But that's, you know, anytime you have buildings, you have to maintain them, and I've got so many, it's just like a constant job, you know, like Monday through Friday is going from building to building. But anyway, this is kind of where I get ideas, you know, from you all subscribers or from just looking up pictures on the internet, and then you get your own idea. You know, you have your own takeaway from anything that you're exposed to, whether, you know, it's you know what cracks me up is to sit and listen to somebody and then have somebody else sit there and try to tell you what they just said after you heard them. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we got to be careful with what we hear, right? And so that's where we come up with the different ideas that we have used to build our homestead out here, trying to keep it all within that realm, you know, of hillbilly, fairy tale, leaning, you know, crooked kind of stuff that nobody, just about nobody would do except me, right? But anyway, they are cute, and they are, I guess, like a novelty, and they do make good photo shots too. We've had several people come by and visit and want to stand here and get their picture made. So anyway, that's the story on the little outhouse. I also picked up, I've got 7 ground rods, 8-foot ground rods. That's a total of 56 feet of ground that I plan on having up here. I decided what I would do is put 2 for each array, so that's 4. I would put 2 at the little juice shack, and then I would put 1 over here at the cabin. That way I've got each end of the cabin bonded, and since I have so many coming in from 2 different arrays, and then I've got this going out, and then we'll have a leg in the future going out down to the workshop. Since I've got so many coming and going, I decided to put 2 there. So that's a total of 7. That's 56 feet of grounding. So I picked up 7 of these. Then what I have to do is I'm going to get a copper strip to go on the inside where I can mount it in there. That way I've got both sides bonded to the grounds, the 2 grounds that I'm going to have over there, and then I can bond everything to that. But yeah, so I'm also going to rent one of those machines, kind of like an impact driver, because I don't think that I would last long enough to drive the sledgehammer up here doing that. But I think that, you know, because I've got a lot of red clay and shale that I'm going to have to go through, and the reason that I'm doubling up on those other ground rods is because I don't think I'm going through the shale that I would get a really good contact. Now the clay, I'm sure I'll get a much better contact, earth ground, but with the shale I would just feel safer putting 1 on each end. So I think that'll work. If it doesn't, I don't know what else to do. No, I believe everything's going to be just fine. Actually, it might be a little bit overkill, but you know what? It's okay. Better to have more than to have not enough, right? So that's about everything that's going on up here so far, friends. Just trying to keep you updated. We certainly do appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.